Hello everybody. So now you guys should be able to see what I'm doing in Discord and or not in Discord, in Tabletop Simulator. I'm gonna wait a little bit until people can come over from our Q&A that Uva is running before we start on going through how to play. But I'll just talk a little bit of stuff about the game in general, what you're seeing here. I am going to be playing the Lyrite, or Lyrite. I don't know how I decided to pronounce these. This is just a race I created. Put the cards on a nice thing that could be easy for Tabletop Simulator. I even wrote a little bit of story about them. You can't actually write your name on the game components in the actual board game, but we will. We encourage you to add as much backstory about the species you create as you want. I love my RPGs, and I get pretty heavy into the backstories of the characters I make, and so I'm kind of the same way here. Designing a species in Stellaris Infinite Legacy feels a lot like building a character in a tabletop RPG. And so it's fun to kind of build up that backstory. And I always love, especially in the video game, I always love writing a long paragraph. Oh, you can't see my cursor while I'm zoomed in. A long paragraph about my empire in the video game. And that's one of the cool things. You can create your empire in your video game, give all the details about them, write up the paragraph, choose their name list there. You can't choose a name list here because we're not going to make you keep track of 100 alien names as you play. But everything you create in the video game, then you can port to the board game and play that same civilization you played in the video game in the board game. Oh, the link is different. Knox says that the link that was posted is not correct. So let me see if I can get a better link. And let me send this to the team real quick to make sure they have the correct link. I'm sending it real quick to them. And let me find the correct channel. And then we'll get started once enough people from the other stream come over. So, I'm going to wait for my other players to come in too. We already have Kirsten here, who's Nestric, and Jim, who is just going to be kind of helping out in the game here. And you can see here, this is our player. I'll be repeating this again, and once we have all the players joining. But once Uva joins, we'll get started. But here you see, this is my game area. It is nothing like what it is in the actual board game. All this stuff here is nicely organized in a card box with card dividers. And one thing we do is, when all your cards are in one box, when you play, you take off the lid, and all of your hands, the things you can look at anytime you want, your action hand and your political hand and your hand of tech cards, they go on the box lid, so it's easy to tell what cards are your hands that you can always use to play with and what cards are in your deck. 1 second, I'm getting a call from one of the players. Hello, Jim? I know, but it's recording. I'm just talking about some stuff that is not specific to the game that we're playing. So, but the link you posted was incorrect. So, okay, thank you. So it's always fun having two streams going at once. It's a shame that we can't easily switch from one stream running on one computer in one city to another stream running on a second computer in a completely different city. But it is some of the tough things we have to deal with until this pandemic is over. So here we have my player boards. This sits behind my screen. This I'm using as my screen right here. We can't actually do a physical screen in game. And then we have our ship board with our ship technologies. And I'm actually going to put these over here because I don't need them all anymore. I'm going to quickly see how I have my ships designed. And I like this. I'm going to have my mass drivers on my Corvettes. And yeah, there's a lot of finicky things. We won't go into I'll talk about some of the problems we have playing the game in Tabletop Simulator at the end, and what we're going to be our plans on getting a better working Tabletop Simulator that you guys can actually play. But I'll wait until the end of the video when we have everybody who can watch and hear it. It looks like we have some more people in the comments. That's great. And we have right now 78 people watching, so we'll wait until we get a few more people. And like I said, need to get Uva into the game so he can play, and you guys can see how it plays. Do you guys have any questions in the comments while we're waiting for Uva? I can answer some questions here. Yes, space is green. It's a nice green nebula. Yeah, we won't get into details about the game and gameplay until more of them jump over here. Yes, hi Quirrell. Yes, we'll be posting this on the Kickstarter so you guys can watch. And this is not the only playthrough that we'll be posting. I plan on doing at least one every Sunday. And also, as we want to, we'll be also doing them during the week scheduling. But we always want that regular, well, should be regular time of a 2 p.m. Sunday gameplay stream, and with other on-the-fly scheduled gameplay streams during the week. And as we go through a campaign, we want to focus each live stream of gameplay on a different aspect of the game, because the board game, it grows and develops as you play. And we could do a several-hour live stream to show all the things you could experience, but I think it's better to split up between several smaller live streams. Okay, let's see. Question: will the final ship minis be unique to each faction? Well, and that's a great question, and I hope so, but we'll see. That really depends on how the campaign continues to do. The campaign's been going fantastic. I mean, it's as well as I could have hoped, and we're excited to see where it goes. With each individual different mold, it's not the actual cost of producing the mini that is the big barrier to that. It's that when each different sculpt you have in the mini adds a huge new mold cost. And so for each faction, if they have 5 ships, that's 5 new mold costs per player's set of ships. And as we get more backers, that mold cost basically gets spread out across more pledges. And so as we hopefully get more people joining the game, we'll be able to include more new unique molds. Our first one that we have had was the star bases at 1 million. And then at 1.2 million, we are now having you guys vote in the comments about what spaceborne creature you guys would like to see a mini version added to the Kickstarter. We have, of course, the space amoebas, the crystalline entities, the void clouds, and mining drones. And each of those are a non-player element that you'll have to compete for in space and potentially have to fight. So, yes, I'm glad we got it up too, Matthew. It's we are, as Uwe said, we are great game designers, and we're great engineers who know how to produce games. What we don't know how to do is stream. But we're learning, and we're going to get better at it, and we're looking forward to be able to show you the game. So we have everybody in the game. Hey, Kirsten, Uwe, can you wiggle your hand around the middle so I can see that you're here? Yeah, I see Kirsten moving over there, and then we have Uwe. I don't see his hand moving. I don't even know where his hand is. Oh, yep, there's Kirsten's. Fantastic. I want to make sure. So the plan for this stream is I want to focus on how you play around, what you do in a round. Oh, there's Uwe's hand over there. Perfect. We're all here. So we are first going to just play through a turn. I don't want to get in details of how the game works during this round because I just want you guys to see how quickly this game plays when we're all planning our turn simultaneously, and also then when we are just what is the word? When I'm explaining it, it takes a lot longer to go through a turn when I'm explaining all my actions. So Uwe, Kirsten, so I know that when you are done with your turn, we need some sort of indicator since I can't see you guys over here. Well, here's my planet. Let's have you, if you guys are done with your turn, flip your player boards upside down. That way I know you're done with your turn, you're planning, and then we can move on to the next, the resolution. So if you guys hear me, can you guys just flip over your cards real quick? Perfect. Uwe, this is your, remember, this is your player screen. Uwe is the one who's had the least experience playing the game in Tabletop Simulator, and so he might need a little help every once in a while. So first, we're just going to get started, and we're going to play through a round, and then we're going to do a second round where I go in detail about what I'm doing in each phase. I'll still be talking about what I'm working on, but Kirsten, Uwe, go ahead, start playing your first phase. So first, I'm going to choose what phase board I want. I have 4 phase boards, and I like to, in my very first round of the game, I like to expand first. So all these phase boards just sit on a stack behind your player screen, which in this is this flat thing. And I'm going to start out by saying I'm going to explore from my 0 system. Everything I do is shown at top during planning. I place my marker, I have to spend a civilian ship, and I have to spend a leader, which I'm going to spend one of these commanders. I have too many commanders. I now draw a new system. Now just for ease of play, we gave each split up all the systems between bags. So I'm going to shuffle those real quick and draw a new system out. When you draw a new system, I'm going to place it on there. I place my planning token here. And then I am going to, and these are a little weird size compared to, they should actually be a little bit bigger, but we'll worry about that later. I put 3 energy, and there's a habitable planet here. So I'm going to grab 3 energy from our supply here. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to grab a habitable planet from, this would normally be one nice system tray. And it looks, oh, luckily I got a dry planet. If you guys notice here, I like dry planets, shown by the little symbol there. So that is a great thing to see. Put those on there. And like I said, this system tile should be a little bit bigger, but I'm not going to adjust that right now. So then I'm also going to increase my population on my home planet by 1. That cost me 2 food. And that's all I'm going to do. I could explore another system, but I'm pretty happy with this. I don't want to waste too many resources. So I'm going to say I am done. And we're still waiting on Kirsten and Uwe to plan their stuff. Now, Uwe, you don't place your stuff first. You're just going to place it on your planning board, and we're going to be placing it in a second. It looks like he's trying to flick. Uva, you want to make sure you have the hand symbol clicked. So Kirsten's done. It looks like Uva's just having some difficulty with Tabletop Simulator. He's measuring. In the top left corner, Uva, there is a grab hand. You have your grab hand back. I'm going to help Uva grab his resources real quick. So he gets actually 2 energy and 2 minerals. Whoa, Tabletop Simulator. So I'm assuming you want to do this, Uva. So I'm going to put these on here for you. One of the things we're working on is a scripted version of this, where when you draw a system, for example, it automatically puts the appropriate tiles on. And all of the, like I said, all the scale here is completely off. So let me know when you're finished, Uva. Now I'm going to kind of start planning what I want to do next. I have the system. I actually need to fix this board here. Oh, these are our old system tiles. We didn't update those. One thing that happened today is that we were updating all the old prototype art we had been playing with on Tabletop Simulator with the new art. But in the middle of working on it, the whole game or the computer crashed and we lost all of our work. So a half hour before the first live stream was supposed to start, we had to re-update all of our card graphics that were all old in our old Tabletop Simulator with the new ones. And it looks like we did not update the home system tiles. But that's okay. It will work. Uva's finished. Fantastic. So now we're going to do the resolution phase. I was done first. So I am the initiative player. I decide the order we resolve our turns in. I'm going to go first. The resolution phase goes pretty quick. I just place this system onto my old system, connecting it to hyperlanes. And I'm actually going to blow this up now so they're at the same size. There we go. And I missed one token over here. And that's placed. And then I also grew my population in my 0 system. If you notice, each system has a numbered star base. This is not the final art here in the Tabletop Simulator. And I grew my population there, so I grabbed a 1 yellow thing, and I put that there. Now, Kirsten and Uva will show us their turns. Uva also expanded, so I'm going to have Uva do his turn next. And actually, Kirsten, just do your turn at the same time, because I don't want this video to... I want us to describe things in the video pretty quickly so that we can really get to all the cool stuff we want to talk about. And then when you're done, flip your board back over to its normal information side. So he's expanded his system, and when I placed my population, I actually placed it as, I should have placed it as an unemployed worker. One bad thing, I'm really bad at talking and playing a game at once. So that means I'm going to forget to do some things sometimes because I am talking about it. So my worker, when you place a new population, gets placed as a unemployed worker, which is this blank spot. This is uninhabited, so I'm going to flip it to its planet art side. And you guys good over here? Did you lose the tiles? One problem with Tabletop Simulator is that sometimes the pieces you have on your system tile just disappear. And that's what looks like happened. And we don't know why. So I'm going to help Uva here with placing this. And this is why we have not just released the Tabletop Simulator to public use. Oh, that's not the system you drew, Uva. This was the system you drew. You drew a new system. And Kirsten's correct. Whenever you connect it to the map, you roll a die. And if you roll a 4 or less as shown in your planning board, which I rolled a 9, then you connect to the core. So she's decided that this is how she connects. And she had the same problem where the things went... I'll help you with this, Kirsten. all her pieces went to the bottom. It seems a little bit more finicky than it normally is. I'll get this all set up for you, Kirsten, while there we go. So now Kirsten is connected to the galactic core. Oh, by the way, guys, you have personal bags of planets, which have not been duplicated for you guys. So I'm going to quickly clone this. And here, you guys have a personal bag of the new tiles. You guys grab some of the original prototype art, but that's not important. We'll keep on playing. So Uwe, you have all your pieces placed. And I think we're ready to move on to the next phase. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I'm done with this phase. Normally, you'd flip this over and put it underneath your stack, but Tabletop Simulator does not let you do that. So now we are going to move on to the next phase, and now I choose the next phase I want to do. And I am actually going to choose the Explore phase next. And here, I am going to do a physics research. I have 3 different researchers I can do. First thing I do is I draw tech cards. So I have my tech deck here. I'm going to shuffle this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put that all in my hand. So I have these 5 technologies that I can research. And the research cost is shown at the bottom, in the bottom left. You can only research one of each type. I do not have a lot of research. I'm not a research-heavy civilization. So I have lasers, missiles, fleet command exercise, reduce crime, and planetary bombardment. Well, you know what? I think I'm just going to go for some better lasers for now. So I'm going to put this right here. To do that, it cost me a research and a leader. And then all these I'm done with because I don't have enough to research anything else. I'm going to be putting this into my remaining tech hand because I could actually eventually get cards that let me do more. Now we will, I am done with this phase, so I'm going to flip this over. How's everybody else doing with their phases? Uwe's researching his hand of cards. Kirsten's deciding what she wants to build. And so yeah, while they're working on that, I'll kind of describe on some stuff. When I research a new card, it tells you what I discard. So I actually discard laser 1 from my shipboard here. So I discard this card. Let me not grab both. This card goes to my box discard, which we don't have the box discard shown here, so I'll just put it over here. And then I draw specifically numbered cards. So I have to draw card 58, 63, and 65. So 68. And another problem with Tabletop Simulator, those numbers you see in parentheses is the absolute number of the card order. It is not the number on the card. So as you remove cards, they don't start to match up. And I needed 58, 63, 65, so I need to find 58. I'm going to assume it's around here. There's 65, which I needed. 63, 65. There we go. And I needed also 58. Here's 58. So these 3 cards, it tells me 58, 50, 63, 65 go to my player, from my player box to my tech deck. So by researching lasers 2, I gained access to several more tech cards that I could potentially research in the future. And you're limited to researching each of 3 techs, 1 research, or 1 physics, 1 society, 1 engineering. However, different cards you research will let you break that rule. That's basically how everything in Star Wars works. You have the basic rules, and then some cards let you break the rules. So, Uva is still researching, choosing what he wants to research. And remember, Uva, you only can research one physics card at a time. You can see by the bottom whether it's blue, so he can only research an engineering card. Now, Uva has a lot of research. He's a research-heavy civilization. He's actually double materialist. So one cool thing about when you design your species is your origin card, and by the way, these are our old prototype files here. Your origin card determines what pieces you start the game with. Your ethics cards give you some bonus cards to your supply of cards and give you some extra starting tech and resources. So he actually starts with 2 extra research compared to other people because he's double materialist. And so that's a pretty big advantage early on. So you can see he's spent a total of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You only have 5 research, Uva. You cannot research all 3 of those cards. So he's going to put that back in his tech hand. And now he should be done with his turn. Okay, so now during the resolve phase, I simply put, it tells me by the research cost, I take this from my tech hand, put it by my shipboard. When you research a new technology, you can instantly decide to research adjust your ships to use that tech. But we will do that later. I'm not going to go over how you design ships in this video. We'll do that in a future video when we also talk about combat in detail. So we're all ready to go with the next phase. And Uva's just grabbing his remaining cards. While we do that, I'm going to decide what I want to do next. So I'm actually going to choose to do Exploit next, where I get to build things on my planets. Now, a little bit about my species. I am near extinction. My origin was near extinction. So I start with fewer populations, but we gained a little bit of a knowledge about what are about unity bonus to traditions. I'm just looking at the comments, see if there's any good questions. Yeah, in terms of cheating, you get to see what people do during the resolution phase. Normally, we're sitting at the table, and after all people plan at the same time, you tell people what you did and show them what you did. So people get to verify when you did not cheat. But with any board game, there's definitely a sense of trust that people are not going to intentionally break the rules. Unintentionally breaking the rules is a completely another matter. That's something I am known to accidentally do. So yes, so we are going to now move on to the next phase, and we are going to. I'm going to do my exploit phase. So I am going to look at this. I'm going to decide what I want to build. So I'm going to build, first of all, I want to build a new mine in my home system. So I'm going to put that there. I also want to build a new starbase. And when I should have grabbed a neutral starbase marker here, that's neutral starbase 5 or 8. So I'm going to say I want to build a starbase in the neutral 8 system, which cost me all of my alloys and 3 of my influence. And then I am also going to, I have no more alloys, but I have some more minerals. So I'm actually going to employ some of my population. And since I have a bunch of stuff there, I'm actually just going to employ them right here. I want some more basic resources because that is the key to a strong start. So I'm done with that. and we will then see how everybody else is doing. Kirsten is doing her research phase right now, and Uwe was doing, looks like, his politics phase. So while they're doing that, I'll talk about some more aspects of this board. So there are 3 things you can build with. You can build with your planets, your construction ships, and your star bases. You only can build once with each one of those. So I only have 1 star base, so I could only build 1 ship a turn. Once I have 2 star bases, I could potentially build 2. Each of my planets only can employ 1 person a turn, unless you have cards that let you break that rule. And I had to spend 2 construction ships to, 1, build a mine, and then my other one I spent to build a star base, and this was the one I spent my first phase to explore. So this is where there's no limit to how many times you can do these actions, except for the resources you have. I could have built another civilian ship, but I chose to gain another system instead. So let's see how Kirsten and Uwe are doing. Kirsten, she has her cards in her hand. She's deciding what she wants to research. Somebody asked about the tokens earlier. We tried a lot of different methods to track resources. We tried tracks. We tried even dry erasing. But the tokens was the most intuitive with the trays. And the nice thing about these tokens when they're in trays, it looks like kind of like a power bar where you can see how tall that stack of tokens is, and it's really easy for you to tell where they are. And then as in a phase, you can place the tokens that you spend on stuff. Again, these tokens are not the correct size compared to the boards, but normally you can actually put these resources on the things that you're spending on them on to make it easy for people during the resolve phase to see how you spent your resources on what actions. So, looks like they are finishing up their phases now. Kirsten is finished, and Uwe's still figuring out what he wants to do with the building on his planets. So while Uwe's figuring that out, I'll show you how I resolve a exploit phase. And so first, I'm going to do a basic worker. I already spent my energy. The top of these actions always show what you spend during the planning phase, and the bottom shows what you do during the resolve phase. So first, I'm going to decrease my approval by 1. Because the more people you have, if you don't keep them happy, you'll get approval bonuses. And I have to find my player marker. I don't have my player marker up there. So I'm just going to grab one of these for now. And my approval goes down to 6. Oh, yep, see, it went underneath the board there. I then get to place a worker as a basic worker on plan and gain either food, energy, or mineral. So I'm going to take my worker who's unemployed here, put him as a basic worker, and then I am going to choose to gain a mineral because I want to really build up all these mines I have here. So I'm going to grab a mineral from over here and add it to my supply. So now I have a lot more minerals to use in the future. Done placing that worker. Here I'm mining something in my 0 system. So I pick up a token from here, and I'm going to pick up this energy, and this energy goes right here. And so now I have 1 more energy. And the last is I build a star base. Star bases, I'm building in the 8 neutral system, so this always indicates the neutral system you want to build in, because you only can build star base in neutral system. And this is going to cost me an upkeep of 1 alloy, 1 energy, and 1 authority. So those tokens actually get discarded. And 1 energy. So I'm actually just going to delete those rather than take them over to the supply. If I lose the star base, I will gain that back. So let me find my supply of star bases here. So this is going to be my 4 system right here. And this neutral one comes off. And Uwe and Kirsten, go ahead and finish your resolution. without you guys being able to talk to tell us what you did, it's kind of pointless for us to watch you do that. But you can see that Uva, he has been expanding his systems here. He's also looks like he built up some specialist workers. He looks like he is specializing in more research, and that civilian ship Uva goes with your other civilian ships over here. So while they're doing that, I'm going to talk about some of the finickiness of Tabletop Simulator. And one of the things I told you about is often when you pick up these systems or try to move them, your pieces will just teleport to the bottom of the stack. Another thing is, let's say I remove this worker from the stack. See, look, the other one just teleported to the bottom of the system. It is super annoying, and it really slows down the gameplay, and is why this is not a great representation of actually how the game plays. But I want you guys to have the chance to actually see how the game flow works. What you're doing in each of the 4 phases. So Uva is now done, and Kirsten's done. So now I'm going to do the last phase. Oh, yep, I placed my starbase already out there. And this is my Exopolitics Phase. So here I have to decrease always my approval by 1 more, and I get to draw a political card. So I'm going to decrease my approval by 1. Oh, I gain an opposition ethic when I get here to level 5 of the approval. I'm at 50% approval. So an opposition party gets some influence in my empire. And I'm going to draw a political card from the group supply and put that in my political hand here. And we'll kind of look at that in a second. And I get to have to draw a random opposition party. Now these cards are still old prototype cards. So I draw the top one, and this would normally go into my player screen next to my other ethics cards, but we're just going to put a stack of cards here. And so I have some materialist opposition party in my empire. Where that comes into effect is a lot of times with these political cards. So you see on this political card, it says pacifist demands. You can play this on another player's empire if they're pacifist. And what it does is it decreases their approval until they meet this condition. So if a pacifist empire is at war, you can play this on them, and as long as they're at war, their approval will go down. And there's all sorts of demands for the different types of ethics. People can also play these if you have an opposition ethic that matches. So if one of the other players gains a pacifist opposition party, their approval will go down until they appease that opposition party. Or I could play this as a rogue admiral. If a player has no authority resources or is actually in authority deficit, I can place 3 rebel ship counters in their system, and they'll have a non-player thing to fight. But right now I have plenty of authority. I still have 4 authority. Plenty to do stuff with. So I'm not going to play that on anybody, but I can save this in my hand for later use. I'm going to increase my approval. That's what this check mark means. I'm going to spend 2 goods, and I'm going to increase my approval by 1, but I'll do that during the resolution. So I just put some marker showing I'm doing it. The big thing about my empire, I'm unity based. So I have a lot of unity here compared to other people. Normally, you start a game with 0 unity. You have to build your first structures to gain access to it. But I have a lot of unity. I have a huge hand of traditions. I only have 3 here for examples, but normally you have a total 7 you can start with. And I'm actually going to choose the expansion tradition path. You choose one of these to start with. And again, the cost of it's down shown in the bottom left. And it's a question mark because that is shown on your empire dial. At the bottom, it shows right now my tradition cost is 0. Right away when I research this, it increases my tradition cost by 1. So whenever you start a new tradition path, you will increase your tradition cost by 1. So as you research more traditions, their cost goes up by 1. And again, this is another finicky thing about Tabletop Simulator. There's no good ways to do dials that we have figured out. And so we have to use the attach tool to unattach the pointer and then reattach it, and it takes forever. Now we are going to go into the, I grab this card, I just put this here. That also cost me a leader to research. I'm going to use this political leader. And I also draw 2 cards from my deck, card 113 and 114, and add it to my tradition hand as future cards I can, tradition cards I can adopt. Now, one thing to note, another finicky thing about Tabletop Simulator is that the shuffle button's at the top. If I press that, it would completely ruin my deck, and I would not be able to find cards at all. That's something we're trying to fix through scripting, where cards automatically get drawn and this deck is blocked from being shuffled. 113 and 114 are the cards I have to draw. And I notice that these cards are out of order already, but here's 113 and 114. There they are. 114's here. So I have to reorder that when we continue to work on the Tabletop Simulator. And these cards go into my tradition hand that I could research later on. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually recruit a new leader. I don't need to. I have 5 leaders. I'm happy with that. I'm going to keep my energy. I am done with my planning. How's everybody else doing? I think I might have actually been the last one done. Uva's finishing off his political phase. He's choosing his tradition card. So you can see Uva's actually placing his resources on the board. Again, none of this is to scale, because in Tabletop Simulator, you can easily change the size of stuff. And when you import it, it does not go to necessarily the size you want it to. So you have to auto adjust the sizes relative sizes after you import it. While Uva's finishing that, any questions? We have Blood Angel. Okay, will all the minis not voted for the next structural be in the final game? So all the minis that we have in the stretch goals are represented by tokens in the board game. But the minis add those tokens to the Frontier expansion, so you can use those minis instead of the tokens that come in the base game. And we really hope we'll unlock all the Spaceborne minis, plus some more minis as the campaign continues. Yeah, so what our plans are for the TTS, and I'll keep talking since Uva is still figuring out how to use Tabletop Simulator over there, is we are working with a programmer to add scripting to this to make it a lot more user-friendly. We also are working with a modeler so that we can actually have the 3D player screens and maybe even the player boxes with the cards nicely organized, so it actually is represented as it is in the board game. And also make things easier, because no matter what we do, searching through this digital deck is a pain in the butt. Oh, look what I just did. I just messed something up. So I'm now just going to try to group all these. See if I can do that. I have no idea why I pressed. Again, one of the annoying things about Tabletop Simulator. Wow, what did I do? That's kind of freaky. So what I'm going to do, guys, Kirsten, Uva, I hope this doesn't mess you up. I'm going to Control Z. Let's see if that fixes my deck. This often does, but I was doing way too much. Nope. Well, this is why the Tabletop Simulator sucks to play Stellaris in. It's great for playtesting. This is what we've used to play test balance and flow as a game. Early on, we also have our physical version that was all just prototype pieces that we used to play the physical feel of the game. So I'm just not going to be able to draw new cards for my deck. But what are these cards do? They have a life of their own. That's going to fall off the table, and it's going to keep teleporting back on the table until it stops rolling. So, yeah, Tabletop Simulator can be quite humorous sometimes. And this is why we can't just release the Tabletop Simulator to you and let you say, hey, play the game, enjoy it. You cannot enjoy the game playing Tabletop Simulator. There's too many weird things that can happen. And this deck is toast. I'm going to have to copy somebody else's deck. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Jim, if you could just delete all these cards for me, I'm going to steal Kirsten's deck over here. So I'm going to press this, press clone. Even though she's removed different cards from me, it should still be pretty okay. At least for this playthrough. There we go, I have a new deck. All my other cards, I have my political cards, action cards, also got kind of grouped in that deck there. But that's not important. We're only going to be playing a little bit more, and we'll be doing another playthrough, and as we get this hopefully better scripted, things will go better. Yeah, I agree, Affinati. I am terrible at usernames. I'm terrible. I have trouble pronouncing my own name of Gunta. So it's so now we should all be done. Uva looks like he flipped over his. He's ready to go. So I'm gonna finish resolving my actions here. So now I increased my approval by 1. So now I'll show everybody that my approval goes up by 1. And again, my I don't know why my token keeps getting teleported through the board. That's so weird. But next is I just put this card. Again, let me see if I can zoom in. It really is unfortunate that you guys can't see my hand when I blow up the card. So if I zoom in, next to the Unity cost, it tells you what you do with the card when you research it. I researched it from my tradition hand, and it goes to my action deck. So that is the end of that phase. And they should all be done. Uva is just searching for some new cards that he did traditions with. But to reset the next phase, first of all, I would bring my boards back, get all my resources back. And normally these would be going into your player tray. So I have everything flipped back over, and if I did not go through action cards this time because I just wanted to focus on the phase boards, but you normally shuffle your action cards you had played back into your action deck. And then the last thing you do during the phase is you resolve an event. So here we have an event, and here the event, I draw an event here, and this is one I just put off the side so I could know what I'd be explaining. Each event has a story listed at the top. So this one reads, centuries before our species unlocked hyperlink travel, we sent out a generation ship to colonize a nearby system. We have not found a hyperlink connection to the system, but a colony might be in the system. After we read that description, we can then choose either option A, option B, or if we were a materialist, we would have this third option. But I am not materialist. I do not have the materialist symbol up at the top of my player screen. So I am actually going to try option A. We're going to try to build an unmanned FTL probe with our equipment. The colonists can then use that probe and the equipment from their generation ship to hopefully build a communication device if they're still here. So I have to spend an alloy and a leader to make a science check. So we're spending an alloy to make the probe, and I have to spend one of my leaders. Now this says specifically that it's a science check. So I'm going to want to spend a scientist. So I'm going to spend this scientist right here. And he is a level 3 scientist. So I roll this die, and I got a 9. And so I actually failed that because you have to roll under your experience level or lower to succeed. But since I did a scientist, he actually gets a +2, so I actually had to do a 5 or less. As your leaders gain experience, which we did not increase their experience like we normally would have because of the finickiness. This takes a while to adjust these dials. They get better, and they get better at attempting these checks on event cards. But I failed, so I go to the failure option. And my scientists assure me this will definitely work. The probe will get there in a few months. They're very confident. But there's a down arrow, which means I actually flip this upside down and would put in my player screen, which we're using this stack as my player screen. So, oh, see, sometimes they auto stack. Another finicky thing about Tabletop Simulator, you can't put these too close together or they'll auto stack. Now we are done with this round. We would start a new round. How far are we on time on this stream? So we've been gone about 51 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now just really kind of just finish describing maybe a little bit more, summarize what I did in this game, in this round. And then in another playthrough, in another live stream in the future, we'll go in a little bit more detail about other parts of the game. So during the expand phase, you're going to get to explore new systems, grow population, and move your ships. If you want to move your ships, you just take the matching system tile token, which again, look what happened here. My pieces just randomly teleported underneath the board. No idea why that I wasn't even doing stuff over here. If I wanted to move my Corvette here to my 4 system, I would grab the 4 marker and put it, since I'm moving it to a yellow system, I'd put it in the yellow. If I wanted to move it to red's 4 system, I'd put my red marker on the red thing. So you're able to plan where you want to move your ships on this planning board. Next, we have the explore phase. I think I explained that pretty well. You're drawing a hand of tech cards, and you can research one of each type of tech. And then when you research cards, those cards go in your action deck. And we'll talk about your action deck in the next playthrough. But the action deck is how you customize your civilization as you play. It's where you grow in power and you can do the crazy interesting things. It's where you can terraform worlds, how you can open wormholes. You can build, colonize new systems and give them special properties, like, for example, the resort world. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do through this action deck. And we'll explore that more as we explore the technology tree more in our next playthrough. During the exploit phase is where you're building stuff. And like I said, you can either build stuff on planets with your construction ships or your star bases. Over here is ships you don't have access to when you play, so we kind of put that to the side. And every tile, including on explore and exploit, the top part of the action is what you do during the plan, and the bottom is what you do during the resolve. So it's very easy to see what you do when. Last is the exopolitics phase, and two big parts of it are you're going to adopt new traditions, which is like a cultural tech tree, and you're going to be recruiting new leaders, increasing your approval. But the political cards are where you get to do all the, again, very intricate political stuff, such as fermenting rebellion in other people's empires, assassinating leaders, and also doing positive things for friends and yourself, where you could actually, if your population's happy enough, they could actually get a production boost in a future turn, or even a birth rate boost. So there's all sorts of cool customization then that you can discover as you play. So where it starts out very simple with what you just do on these 4 phase boards, but the game grows as you play. So I'll answer any last few questions you guys might have in the chat. Are there any elf portraits, either base or stretch goals? Well, there in Stellaris there is a humanoid promo pack. It doesn't come in the base game. We'll see if we unlock that promo pack in the Kickstarter. We plan on unlocking all the species cards in the Kickstarter. One thing we're going to be announcing today in the update, and that will be talked about now, is one thing we plan to do with the metagame is that as you make choice in the metagame, as you guys have when you design your species, we'll be giving a metagame stretch goal reward every day for playing the metagame. So our first stretch goal rewards that we're going to be giving today for designing your empire are going to be some more species cards in the Frontier expansion that you can use to customize the look of your species. We have a lot more exciting metagame stretch goals that we'll be unlocking every day as we continue down that metagame story, and you guys make choices on what you do. And what you guys unlock, we will determine based off of what you guys do in the metagame story. So I got to go back to smaller stretch goal leaps. Yes. Well, we're going to be also unlocking things in new ways. We're also going to be doing some social stretch goals, and that will be actually unlocking things in other ways other than just through the technology tree funding amount normal stretch goals. So that we're going to wrap this stream up. I know you guys probably have a lot more questions. We're going to continue be doing Q&As, and we'll be scheduling another playthrough during the week where we'll be basically going over this again for people that could not make this live stream. We'll also be posting this video to the Kickstarter, but just come at 2 tomorrow if you want for the Monday FAQ. And I'm sure you guys will have a bunch of more great questions for Uwe and I. And we'll keep exploring the different great elements of the game. Like, I can't wait until we can talk about crises, because that just completely throws a game on its end and makes you really explore things in a completely new way. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, and we will see you on the Kickstarter. Bye.